We're currently at the 13,600 block of Braydon Bend, which is in northwest Harris County in our District 5 area of operation. We are currently investigating an officer-involved shooting. As it stands right now, all the deputies are safe. None of the deputies are injured. We're thankful for that. One suspect was struck, and he was flown via life flight to Memorial Hermann. He is currently in surgery. His prognosis is not known at this particular time. At about 12:05 p.m., deputies received a call for service for a weapons disturbance. One of the houses on this particular street heard what they believe were gunshots at their house. Deputies responded to priority 1, which means lights and sirens. Upon arrival, deputies, it took about 8 minutes to get here, so we responded lights and sirens. Upon arrival, it was discovered that damage to one of the houses on the street and the vehicles, consistent with broken glass in the cars and also broken glass on the front of the house. Deputies have been to this area before, and they were familiar with the suspect. They have actually responded to calls for service 54 times this year at this particular address. Deputies received consent to enter the home in order to interview the suspect and detain the suspect. When deputies entered the house, the suspect barricaded himself in a bathroom. It was known at that point that the suspect did have a knife, a fairly large knife. At that particular instant, the deputies requested a CERT unit, which is a crisis intervention response team, who is, received enhanced training to assist in making contact with folks who are having a mental health episode. But prior to the CERT unit arriving, the suspect exited the bathroom, producing a large knife. At that particular point, he threatened the deputy's life, and he took a lunging motion towards the deputy. A second deputy discharged his firearm one time, striking the suspect one time. Like I said earlier, the suspect is in surgery. His prognosis is not known at this time, and the deputies are safe. So what's currently happening right now is the homicide division is here. They're conducting the investigation, as we do with all officer-involved shootings. They're primarily looking at any criminal aspects that may be involved. In addition to that, we also have the Internal Affairs Division, who reviews a more kind of a broader scope of our policies and where everything followed. They'll review body-worn camera. They'll review dash camera. They'll also do an extensive investigation on how many times we've been out here. In addition to that, the District Attorney's Office has been notified. They have representatives on scene, and they also will conduct their own investigation. Once homicide has conducted gathered all their evidence, they'll give that over to the District Attorney's Office. We'll present that to the grand jury. We'll make a determination on any crimes. As with all officer-involved shootings, we notify the Texas Attorney General's Office on their website, and we do that with all officer-involved shootings. Do you have any questions right now?
What were the 54 calls for service for?
Yes, sir. A myriad of things. 54 calls for service included mental health calls, aggravated assaults, weapons disturbances, and some of those were called on by the suspect himself, making kind of some claims that people's lives were in danger. And so we had been out here multiple times. We have the suspect is a 61-year-old white male. The deputy is a 12-year veteran. He's 38 years old. So just to give you a little bit more background.
Do you know like the time span of the 50?
Yes, it's January 1 to today.
So does he live there? Does he know the family? Is he related?
So at the house where the shooting occurred, he does live at that house, and it was a neighbor's house that was damaged today.
So he shot at his neighbor's house at his neighbor's vehicle?
Well, I think some more investigation will need to be done. It does not appear that it was gunshots, but there's damage to the house and to the cars. But I wouldn't claim
they had like any kind of feud thing going on?
Not that we know of, not at this point, sir.
So what house did he shoot at initially or damage initially?
It was a neighbor's house.
And then what house was he ultimately?
In his own home, so which we had consent to be in.
Yeah, which is which?
So,
like, what's the neighbor's house and what's the house where he was shot at?
Okay, so he was in his home, which is down on the farther house.
Okay.
And then the closer house was the neighbor.
So just to be clear, was he having any kind of issues with his neighbor, or he was just having his own issues?
I think it's pretty speculative at that point to say, like, we haven't talked to the suspect, so we can't say, like, hey, this is what his side of the story is. But we do know we have been out here for multiple times for mental health issues. So, you know, that would kind of suggest that that's why we called what we would call a MARI unit, which is the Crisis Intervention Response Team, because we had been here so many times, and we kind of knew that that we needed to prepare and that kind of take that approach.
Have you talked to the neighbor? Did he have any kind of interaction with the suspect?
Yeah, the investigators are having those conversations right now with not just one neighbor, but any other neighbors who could provide any information or witness statements or anything like that.
Would that be, yes, they did have, do you guys not know at this point? If they had any kind of interaction?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm going to kind of defer. I'll let the investigators. I have not personally talked to the neighbor to say, hey, did you have a feud or anything like that? No.
Can you describe where the suspect was struck by the officer, or if his injury was life-threatening, if he was life-threatening?
He was struck in the torso. So.
Was he alone in the house?
Yes, sir.
And so just to be clear, he allowed officers to come inside his home, and then he barricaded himself.
We had consent. I wouldn't say he allowed anyone.
Okay.
He didn't allow anyone in the house, but we did have consent to be in the house from someone else who lives at the house.
Okay.
Just to make sure, the 54 calls for service right at the neighbor's house.
At the house where the shooting occurred is where the 54 calls for service occurred.
And that's the house of
The
the
Suspect, correct.
I'm sorry, did you say someone else was in the suspect's house?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
He doesn't live alone, though. That's it.
correct.